Ethanol means exporting an additional liter of petrol. And why is this? Why do we have this distorted market? Because diesel is taxed much lower than petrol is, than gasoline is. And this system needs to change. That's one very big problem. The other big problem is that are called car manufacturers. Why is it that in Brazil we see that all the big European car manufacturers can produce flex cars? Volkswagen was the first one who introduced the total flex cars here in Brazil. If you say to Volkswagen in Germany that they should do the same in Europe, they look very disturbed and say, well, that's Brazilian technology, that's for Brazil, we don't want this here. And that's one of the problems. If we would introduce more flex cars in Europe, we would solve a lot of issues, and we would create a huge market. And we probably would say to Brazil, please ship your ethanol to us because we cannot supply enough.
Just a correction, Rob. While Brazilians love to take credit for a lot of things, including first, airplanes and things like that, the flex fuel technology was the first one, belongs to an American, late Roberta Nichols for California. And we've improved on that technology a great deal. It's slightly different now. But I'd like to give credit where credit is due, that it was a woman, Roberta Nichols in California, that developed flex fuel technology. We just saw the potential and the benefits of it and made good on it.
I have a final question because we are approaching the very end of this dialogue. It was one, really. And it needs to be answered really in telegraphic terms, just a few words for each of you. Does this industry, the biofuels, the renewable fuels, does this industry need to have a single voice in order to coordinate internationally and domestically what is this concerned about? Rob, I'll do this way, round. Has to be very, very brief, please.
Yes, absolutely. The answer is clearly yes. And I don't know if Marcus Young is in the room. I don't know. I see some. Marcus. Tudo bem? Marcus, I'm going to say it in Portuguese. I will try. É extremamente importante que você faz parte desse aliança mundial. Entende?
Thank you, Rob. Bob? Very short, please.
I agree with Rob that Unica and Marcos, we'd love to have you in the alliance. I do think we should speak as one voice, and we need to continue to work together to get the message out of the importance of biofuels as a clean-burning, economically viable, and sustainable alternative to petroleum.
André?
I think we have to speak as one voice about how good biofuels can be. We cannot have the illusion that the countries are going to speak in one voice when they have different interests in this issue. But I think that although we have different interests of protecting our markets, expanding something or another thing, I think that we have to separate the two issues. What is the markets and what is biofuels as an idea? Biofuels as an idea, we have to speak as one voice.
Nick, please.
I used to be a lobbyist, but I've recovered. Now I'm a regulator. I have a different perspective, but I can tell you there absolutely is power in a union. And if you want to see those forces that are ranged against you have a field day, they will do so in the internecine warfare between countries and between technologies, and my invention will be better than your historical activity, because that's where those who are opposed to you will find opportunities to mock, deride, and undermine. This is such important work to get right, and the question about the place of renewable transport fuels in the future is just such a no-brainer. I don't know how that translates into Portuguese, let me know later, that we absolutely have to make sure we get it right. And we must not compromise on issues related to environmental and social impacts. They are not incompatible. with good business. They are about working in a way that gives us the planet we want to have for as long as we can maintain it. So work together, please.
Michael.
If AT&T had gotten to spoke with one voice, there would be no one in the room today with a cell phone. And so I have a bit of a different view because I think that you do need voices and you need a variety of voices. The point about we all need to speak about biofuels as one is a very good one. But we do need creativity, we do need innovation, and we do need to bring new technology to the world to address a variety of problems which may be different than the ones we started out with when we created the biofuels industry to start with. So although I think as a biofuels industry we have to come together, I also think it's very important to be open to a variety of different ideas and a variety of different voices in this debate.
Joel, but very briefly, please.
Yeah, I would just say, listen, the objective is always to speak with one voice. But you have to be careful that you're not speaking with one voice and you become some sort of cartel where you're controlling everybody's production. Let's remember, or let me end with this question. What is the point of having one voice when there is no one market and a bunch of islands isolated producing for themselves? And since the major sponsor of this organization is my boss, and he's sitting here saying he wants the microphone, I think I may have to give him the opportunity to close it. Otherwise, I may lose my job.
No, just, I think that first of all, thank you very much for this wonderful, wonderful talk you did. I think it was exactly the type of discussions that we'd like to see here. I agree completely that we have a common agenda, but here, what we try to do here is to really show that there are big differences also in some issues. The way, for example, we see the global markets. The name of this panel was Global versus Domestic Markets. Domestic markets are happening. Global markets are not happening. And we tried here to show that there are differences in this side. But we have commonalities. But regarding the question of a global association, let me be very clear about that. We believe that we needed to fight against oil. We needed to fight not only in terms of energy security, but also in terms of the environmental goods that we bring when we produce biofuels. But the best way to do that is to create a global association, not only with parts or groups, but with everybody on board. Here in this country, we have one association that is now working internationally, which is UNICA. UNICA is working very hard. We have offices in many countries, and we have one common voice. Unfortunately, we still see in other countries divisions. There are two associations in Europe. They don't have the same views. There are now two associations on the corn groups in the States. There's another association on the second generation. So for us, it's a little difficult to work with some of them and not the others. So what I'd like to ask you here is that we try to put together in just one association, and a big association, not this association that you mentioned, which is just one person, but a big association with more funds, where we have the first generation, the second generation, the third generation, all feedstocks together, not only corn, sugarcane, and wheat, but all kinds of feedstocks, bagasse, whatever it comes down in the future. And of course, we cannot have an association to talk about developing domestic markets, which was the proposal of the first association here, was let's talk about global markets. Global markets, all feedstocks together, first, second, third generation. So let's talk about all different feedstocks together. So if we do that, and I think that we are ready to try to do that, but we need to have more cooperation inside the countries, inside different groups in the countries, then I think that we are going to really have a big, good step in this process.
Well, I would like to say thank you all in name of the participants, and thank you, the audience, for the quality of the questions, your attention, and kindness.